Hello there, guys. Welcome back to Younes Talks Football. I hope all of you are doing well today. Woo, 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 woo. Briefing everywhere. Take cover. We're getting bombarded with briefings left, right, and flipping center. I have so much to show you. It's ridiculous. It's all been bombarded on us in the last, maybe 3-4 hours. It's just non-stop, one after the other. That's how you know it's a club briefing. Multiple journalists. Let's get right into it. Let's kick off because I've seen so many things I want to talk about here. So without further ado, here's the first thing. So, Matt Law coming out with the exclusive. Enzo Maresca will keep his job even if Chelsea do not qualify for the Champions League. Goes in to say, exclusive, Enzo Maresca will remain at Stamford Bridge whatever happens in the final 3 games of Chelsea's season. The club intends to give manager at least 2 full seasons before any sort of performance assessment. Now, I'm going to show you a couple of other things and then actually one more thing, a bit more detail, and then I've got something to show you which is going to be quite damning. There it is. So, Enzo Maresca shares the same vision as sporting directors Paul Winstanley and Lawrence Stewart, and the internal view is that Chelsea have progressed under him regardless of their final league position and whether or not they win a trophy. Progress. There's one key detail in there which is absolutely vital as to why they will stick with him. They will stick with him. And it's because of that point of sharing the vision. Irrespective of results, if he's on board with what the owners, directors are asking for in terms of project direction, what we're doing, he's on board with it, he'll stay. And to actually prove this, let's go back to exactly nearly a week to the day, this time last year. What did Matt Law come out with? This will prove everything. Chelsea's next manager will be under pressure to deliver Champions League football and compete for trophies. How's that working out? Apparently Maresca is safe, irrespective if we don't make Champions League, if we don't win Conference League, if we do all of this, he's safe. So explain to me, what was this then? What was that? This doesn't have any basis anymore. So who's to say that what Matt Law is saying now has any basis? Pretty much. And this is why when I say briefing, this is the sort of thing why. Because with time, you start to find there's contradiction. You know? So as Poch was, and this is coming from someone that for majority of last season said, yeah, get rid of Poch because it's clearly not working. He actually started shooting an uptrend. We ended the season better than how we were performing for most of it, which is not good enough anyway. But even on that, we were about to make Champions League, are we about to? And we just missed out. He gets sacked. Okay. Then we get this. Okay, so the club are acting serious. Then we get Maresca. And now we get to a point where if we don't make Champions League, he's safe. Now, personally, I'm giving you my opinion. Forget the briefings. I've said this from day one. I'm not going to come on here and call out Maresca as the one to blame on everything and he has to go, and if he goes, everything's fixed. No. But keeping on a manager whilst your expectation hasn't been fulfilled tells me that you're either weak and you're not that bothered, or you just want people that will comply. Only. And that's the vibe that I'm getting. I'm getting, as long as there's no fight back, there's no pushback, there's nothing to really, go against what the ownership or the directors want, then yeah, your job is safe. Irrespective of results, your job is safe. That's the vibe that I get, personally. Let me know what you think down below. Now, let's go into more. Here's more detail. Chelsea will review their season at some stage and look at areas in which they can improve. A full assessment of Enzo Maresca's performance is not anticipated to take place until the end of next season, unless the club are forced to change that plan by unforeseen circumstances or results. Which is what exactly? Considering that you've already just said that if we don't make Champions League, it's all okay. This is what I don't get. This is actually quite interesting because Maresca has already come out with this publicly, if you remember, when he said that, no, the goal isn't to make Champions League this season, it's to make Champions League next season. He said that publicly and he was grilled for it. Maybe he was just being honest. Maybe he was just telling us what the actual club aim is, which contradicts what we were told last season. You see the problem here? Here's the truth. There shouldn't be, under any circumstance, any acceptance of not qualifying for Champions League. If we do not make Champions League, normally heads will roll. Simple. Simple. That's if the ownership are on it. The ownership are truly on it. You have failed. That is a bare minimum. Out the door, we need to get someone in that is going to deliver that. But this is my issue, and this is why I don't look at Maresca as the sole party to blame, as the number one guy to go for with your pitchforks. No. Because we also have to take into consideration the hand that he's been dealt. Yeah, he's accepted it, he's in the job, blah, blah, blah. But the recruitment, the players, the directors, all of this. But it seems like, and this is why I say, the vibe I get is just everyone is just cool, going along with everything, as long as they're just executing what is asked of them, and that's it. We're not striving with standards or levels anymore. We're just not. If not, this wouldn't be the situation. It just wouldn't. Champions League should be a bare minimum. But the team should reflect that. And the team does not reflect that. Which is why I cannot come after Maresca single-handedly and go, no, this guy must get out the club now. I can't. I can't do that. Because there's many players here that are not good enough. The recruitment has been mediocre at best. We don't go for players that are actually going to bring this team to the level of playing Champions League football. Which is why I say this summer is so crucial. If we make Champions League, this summer will explain everything and teach us everything we need to know. I feel like I'm already there. But I feel like in terms of the fan base as a whole, understanding just what we are really actually just going to go for. Because I don't believe we're going to go for after top players. I make the case because of the off chance, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, right? And I'd love to be. But I don't believe it. I don't believe the club will go after top players that will help bolster this squad and these young players that need some guidance and some leadership. And talking about leadership, Nizar Kinsella has come out with this. There is an acceptance within the club that Chelsea's squad lack natural leaders. There shouldn't be an acceptance. There just shouldn't be. This is an issue. And apparently, according to what we have heard from Nizar Kinsella, he goes into a little bit more detail here. There is an acceptance within Chelsea that the squad lacks natural leaders, with only Colwell and potentially Fernandes fitting the bill. Reece James has worked hard to develop that side of his game, but is naturally introverted, as is Caicedo. And you know what? I believe this. It makes sense. I feel that. And we've got to be real. Are Levi Colwell and Enzo Fernandez actual leaders? You could make a case for Enzo, kind of. But Colwell, it's not just being about a leader. This is where I feel like people misconstrue what I say, what others say. I'm not looking for someone to just be loud. No, that's not what I define as leadership here. Oh, he's got a big mouth, he can shout. Great. No, that's not it. You need to have that. But what have you accomplished? What have you done in the game? What can you bring to the table to show the young players this is what you have to do? Because I've been there and done it and I know. That's a leader. Now, Reece James has that to an extent, but he's a quiet boy. And I do believe that. Colwill does seem like someone that can be loud. But what has he accomplished? Nothing. So how does he know? Enzo's won the World Cup. At least. That's why I say at a bare minimum, and Enzo does seem someone that is loud. He's got a bit of a personality. Cool. That's it. That's all there is. That is all there is. This is why I scream for some experience. And I don't mean experience just by age. Get me a 30-year-old. No, what have you done in the game? What can you show? What can you teach? What t-shirts have you worn? You know what I mean? Have you been there and worn the t-shirt, as they say? Have you? Yeah, we got many players that haven't. They've just started. You know what I mean? That's the issue here. That's the issue here with the leadership. Are we going to go into the summer window and get that? I don't believe we will. So we will be in the same position. Just like we were last season. Just like we are this season. Just like we will next season. If it stays like this. 2 + 2 is 4. Just have to not be in denial to notice it and say it as it is. Simple. Now, another issue. These briefings today have just been really bad. Really bad. Here's Nizar Kinsella. So Chelsea maintain belief in Robert Sanchez. I mean, I find that pretty unbelievable, really, don't I? I mean, here's more. Chelsea maintain trust in Robert Sanchez and believe they have promising alternatives. Should he not improve in Penders, current second choice Jorgensen, and Petrovic, who is on loan to Strasbourg? Petrovic is attracting transfer interest. You don't need to have a flipping, absolutely incredible vision to know where this may be going. For me, the bare minimum is to make sure that Petrovic is back at Chelsea next season. Has to be. He cannot go anywhere. On the basis of, if we actually go and get a top goalkeeper, Petrovic is the number 2. I can trust him. If we don't go and get a goalkeeper, Petrovic is number 1. I can trust him. Better than what we've got at the moment. And I think we even had that last season. No one was really talking about goalkeeper last season because Petrovic actually delivered to a good extent. The fact that we are still persisting on this, and you know what? I predict, my prediction, Petrovic will be sold. That's my prediction. Attracting transfer interest? Why? He's been playing really well at Strasbourg. He's been putting in really good numbers. He's been super consistent. He will actually bring in money. Sanchez won't. Just won't. And is there even any interest for Sanchez? We might get interest from, I don't know, who's getting promoted? Leeds? Maybe Leeds will come in for Sanchez. Maybe Burnley might come in for Sanchez. Maybe. That's the issue here. But that's at the detriment of the team, the levels that the team need to have. So we're just going in circles, pretty much. So we'll see what happens with there. Nizar Kinsella also came out with this. Chelsea remain admirers of Alejandro Garnacho and Jamie Gittins, which is just criminal. As far as I'm concerned, it's criminal. I think we'll get Gittins. I don't think Garnacho will happen, but I think we'll get Gittins. If I'm being completely honest, what I think will happen, I think that's probably where it will head. Still not good enough. But we'll see what happens. Let me know your thoughts down below. Now there's more. Nizar Kinsella. Osimhen and Gyökeres would command high wages, but have not been ruled out yet. They'll be on a list with Delap, Sesko and Ekiteke. Chelsea will decide based on pros versus cons and the competition the club will face for the signature. Chelsea believe they'll end up with a very capable option. Capable. They've already just told you in this that Osimhen and Gyökeres won't happen. Simple. Because are the wages going to be too high? Yeah, that's a red cross. Not happening. On top of that, is there going to be competition for a signature? Yeah, it's not happening. We don't want to compete with anyone. Maybe we've got PTSD because of what Liverpool done. But newsflash, guess what? That's what big clubs do. Big clubs will compete with others for a signature of a top talent, especially now in a data-driven era where everyone is sourcing information on all sorts of players. You're going to get the big clubs that notice the same things as you. You just are. They're going to see the same things as you. Look at Dean Huijsen. All of a sudden, Real Madrid. Hello. Well, you're going to have to try and compete. You can't just be going for, okay, no one wants him. Yeah, that means he's the one we should go for. You're not gonna do anything like that, man. You're just not. Oh, is he low salary as well? Great. See the issues? How are we going to get to Champions League football and then play in the Champions League and then compete or actually fight for the league? We'll get smoked. That's just the truth. That's just the truth. But there's this. Although Chelsea have trended towards younger signings, older players at a world-class level with potential to add to the squad in other ways will also be considered. In that case, pay the salary. That's all it will take. Pay the salary. You're not going to get a slightly older, world-class, in their prime type of leader and get him on 100k a week. It's impossible. Liverpool, just to keep Van Dijk, have had to give him 400k a week. That's what you do. That's what you do. Pick one. You are not going to get a middle ground. You can try and get as close to a middle ground as possible, but you've got to be prepared to pay the money. It's as simple as that. If not, you will suffer in terms of levels and achievement. Because you're going to be competing against teams that will do that. That will exceed your level. And that will have better teams than you. Simple as that. Realistically, you know what we should be doing? Utilizing the money to go and get top players and then turn into our academy to look at young players coming through. That is realistically the perfect balance of what we should be doing, because I refuse to believe that we don't have talent coming through Cobham. No, I don't buy that at all. I think that's a load of waffle. There is. But you need the right environment. You need the right manager. Get a top level manager, get talent from Cobham, go and spend on big players, combine everything together, and tell me if we don't win the league or we don't win the Champions League again. We will. We'll at least be in contention for it. Because that's what some other teams do, which works. How are you going to compete? Simple. But we don't look like we're prepared to pay. But we've also got to take into consideration here. There's something that I think a lot of people are not talking about, and it's the underlying factor here. It could be the main reason for everything. The club is now £1.2 billion in debt. We've taken out loans from Bank of America and JP Morgan with a 5% interest rate or something like that. But we've also taken out another hefty loan out of Ares Management, a private equity firm, that has a 13% interest rate, 12.8 to be exact, which is ludicrous. Have we spent the money is the question here. And none of these journalists want to go near it. So I don't even know what is going on. None of us know what is truly going on. We know that is the case though, but what are the ramifications? What are the repercussions? Are we in a bit of a financial issue here, or are we not? God knows. But that could be the underlying factor here. Maybe we can't afford to go after top players and top salaries and whatnot. Maybe we can't. Maybe we've splashed everything. Maybe it's gone. Or if that's not the case and we do have the money, well then great, go and get it. Go and spend correctly and get the players that we actually need, or the levels that we actually need. But I got to bring the possibility to the table of maybe we can't. This is why I am screaming. We have to make Champions League football. Because I don't know the answer to that question. But I know for a fact if we make Champions League football, at least we're getting high revenue. If that is the case, we might be able to save our skin. We have to get Champions League football. These next couple of games are so important, it's ridiculous. This is why I'm putting so much emphasis on it. And then in the summer window, we'll be able to know exactly what's going on in that case. We'll see. Let me know your thoughts down below. Last one is this. Trevor Chalobah will be told he will either be a backup option or can leave. This is just a repeat of what we saw prior to him going to Palace. Yeah, he's leaving. Let's be honest, he's leaving. As if anyone comes in for him. If not, we're going to have to find another loan. And then we're going to try and sell him anyway, because pure profit. The plan is always for Chalobah to leave. And personally, I would love to keep him. Even as a backup option, I think absolutely keep Chalobah. But give him his worth. I think this is just to try and maybe push him a little bit, to look at other options, and to start pushing for a move elsewhere and to leave. That way we can pocket some pure profit. I think that's the plan. That was always the plan. We couldn't get it done. We had to default to a loan with Palace, and then we brought him back because we had to, and now we're going to try and sell him again because he has been playing. So we'll wait and see what happens. I don't know where he'll go, but we'll see what goes down. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments on everything, and there will be a second video later on if there's anything else that comes out or anything else to discuss. Even elsewhere, you'll get a second video later, so make sure you subscribe, notification bell on. Thank you all so much. Thoughts in the comments, and I'll catch you later. In a bit, people. Look after yourselves, take care, and peace.